Hello everybody, I'm Steven.
Hello everybody, I'm Rizwan.
And we're Cardboard Coalition. Today, we thought we would bring you a quick how to play of the World of SMOG, Rise of Moloch. Most people just call it Rise of Moloch. This is a CMON game for 1 to 5 players. That takes about an hour and a half to play through. So we figure we give you a quick how to play, a very high level overview, just the very basics. I will get into some of the actions, but just the very basics. This is how the characters work and this is how they go through everything. Now, for this game to start off with, you always play with at least 4 gentlemen. And it tells you in the book women can be gentlemen too. So 4 gentlemen from the Unicorn Club, the Unicorn Gentlemen's Club. So we got our 4 gentlemen set up and we got our Nemesis set up. So this is a 1 versus many. So one person plays against everybody else. All right? So the first thing we do before people start taking actions and stuff, and I'll move this up so you guys can see it, is we have this activation board. And both the heroes, right, and the Nemesis, the cards are over here, decide what order they want people to play in. So the leader, whoever is chosen, you got roll cards, right? So whoever's chosen leader, and I just threw them out there. So who is this? Major Dreadful was picked as the leader. He gives everybody else their roll cards, which give you some extra bonuses and stuff. But the leader chooses what order they want to activate their the gentlemen and the allies in. Now, you can have the Nemesis put down his cards first, or her cards, whoever the Nemesis is, and walk away. Or you can just silently kind of go through it. But the agents can talk about what order they want their cards to be put down. So let's just say the Nemesis player got up and decided to go get something to eat, some snacks or something. So everybody looks at the cards and they decide what order. So we're just going to put them down in an order. It says the leader decides, but of course it also tells you should get input from your players. So you place down the order of cards from left to right, who you want to go first to who you want to go last. Then in this case, we say the Nemesis comes back, he gets his cards, and with this game, with this chapter, the beginning of it, these 2 players, so Emerson and Tobias, are not actually, for the first round, they're not there. It's just a way to give the heroes a little extra time. But we're going to put them in just to explain how the game works. So, actually, you know what? We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. So know that they're there, and they can pick to put them in after the second round. So we'll just go through the first round. I think that might actually be a little bit easier. So the Nemesis player looks at his, and he decides what way he wants to go. And he sets down his cards. So now, how it works is starting with the gentlemen, they flip their first card. So you see these numbers, there's numbers. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's nothing down here, you just jump to the next one. Right? So they're all set up. The gentleman flips their first card, and I have it completely shifted now. This one we have Drago. So we got Drago over here. Now Drago has 2 activations. He can activate twice. So we have a reference card here that gives us everything that you can do when activated. So he can attack, he can use his special, right? He can recover, which means he gains some health back. We'll talk about health later. He can revive, which means if he got knocked down, he can get back up. And he can also move. So he can choose which 2 actions he wants to do. He has to do 2 actions. He can attack twice, he can revive twice, he can do special twice, right? And this over here gives you agility prices, things that you need to do. So to move, it takes 1 point. To open a door, it takes 1 point. To move through a window, it takes 2 points. And to give equipment to someone, it takes 1 point. So we'll run through each of these really quick. Now, when we look at it, and I'm going to have to step to the other side because originally I had Caverdash and then I set this back up again. So let's go ahead and look at Drago's card. He's got some ether on there that we get in the beginning. He's got his special ability, which I don't know which one he has. Of course, I didn't give him an easy one. So he has the Samaritan. It's a little dark in here, so I'm having some problems reading it. So let's go ahead and switch cards. I'm going to step to over here. I know, perfect videos all the time. This is what happens when we have hiccups. We're going to switch the cards. So we'll say the leader, right, Major Dreadful actually gave Drago this roll card, which is the bouncer, which is really easy. That's why I'm kind of going with it. So Drago can move. He can move 3 spaces. So for one action, he can move 3. You can move through your characters. So he can go 1. You can't do diagonal like this. You can go orthogonally. So you go 1, 2. No, you can move diagonal, but you can go through your own characters. So there's 1, 2, then 3. It gets him to the door. All right. That's one action. Right. Now, if he wanted to, he could open the door, right? But as we look here, it gives us 1 action point to open the door. So he's not going to do that, right? So he moved, and then he wants to open the door, but we're going to jump past that. So we went to move. Let's go ahead and look at attack. Let's say this door is already open, and he wants to attack. That zombie opens the door, and he says, "Oh, crikey, there's a zombie outside this door." And I keep stepping back and forth. All right, so he goes, "There's a zombie outside of this door." So what you do to attack is you pick which action you're going to attack with. So in this case, we have Drago. He has punch, which is melee. You have trigger, which is ranged. And then you have agility. That's how much you can move. And agility is what you roll for defense. So if he gets attacked, he can roll for defense. He gets a 3. Now, he can't do a range attack. One, because in this instance, he's right next to the zombie. And he also does not have a ranged weapon in his arsenal. So you have your arsenal down here. You can put up to 3 things in here and you can swap them out. You can have as much gear as you want, but arsenal you can only have 3, right? So what Drago is going to end up doing is he's going to punch, right? So he decides to punch. So for punch he has 3, and since the roll that he was given at the beginning of the game was bouncer, he also gets a +1 to both his trigger, so his range, or his punch, which is his melee. So he would get 3 + 1, which is 4 dice. So Drago would roll 4 dice. So we get the dice and we roll them and we see what we got. So now, with this, we go ahead and look through it. So when you're attacking, any top hats or any umbrellas, you do not count, right? You count any crowns. This can be considered an attack, or it can give you some ether, or you can get, that's a straight hit, right? There's 1 hit. Then you have a hit with the plus. That means sometimes on their card, if you get a hit or some of the gear you get and a plus, you can do extra things. That's all that means. So it still means a success. That means a success. That means a success plus, so it triggers certain things. And then with the crown, it could be either counted as a success or is an extra ether, so you have more ether. And you use the ether to do special abilities. So in this instance, we're going through attack. Drago attacks. The zombie now gets to defend. So you look at the zombie. He has 2 agility. That does mean how far he can move, but that's also his defense value. So the zombie would take 2 dice, and he rolls them. Right? So when defending, this means nothing. To either the good guys or bad guys, that means nothing. This means a block if you have cover. And cover means certain things. Cover means there's another zombie in front of you if he's doing a range attack, or if you're looking through windows at a zombie, that gives you cover. If you're next to a box, That gives you cover. So in this roll, the zombie didn't block any of that damage. So what that means is Drogo hits the zombie. And he hits the zombie for 1, right? And the zombie could not defend, so he got hit, and he only has 1 health point. So you got the health down there. So that kills the zombie, and it would have knocked the zombie out. So Drogo would have beat that zombie. All right. So the next thing that we have that we can talk about on here is our special, right? So what the special is certain things, and I won't go through all of them because it would just take more time and it's more nuanced. It's just an overview. But this is your special down here. I can't remember the name of this one, but it's basically you can move and attack for 1 action. You have to, anybody's special, and there's different ones, cost 1 ether. So that's your special. So down here, it even tells you if he does his special, he gets, this is because this is his roll, he gets a +2 to his punch. So that's something else he can do. He can spend 1 ether, right? And he can run up to someone as far as he can move. So he can spend 1, run 3. So let's see if we can set this up really quick. So let's say he's out here and he wants to do this. He would get rid of 1 ether. And the ether goes to the Nemesis. But we'll talk about that here in a second. So he spends 1 ether. He decides to do his special ability as one of his activations, right? That's his special ability. So he rushes up to 3, 1, 2. He's next to a bad guy, right? He's next to a minion. So then he gets to roll dice. And it's like I just showed you. So we get 3 dice plus 2 more dice plus his roll card, which I just threw, which gives him 1 more die. So overall, that would give him, let's flip it this way. Overall, that would give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice to roll, right? And we talked about the rolls for the hits and defense. So that is how the special ability works. Now, go ahead and put that back just so I can kind of remember everything. Reset. We're going back to the reset. We'll keep Drogo because he's the one doing stuff. All right. Oh, that looked like the card. So the next thing on here that we have is the revive. And what that means is you can spend ether and you get a revive X amount of points. Now, why do you want to revive points? So as you're playing through, this is your health. You have 2 spots. As an agent, you have 2 spots. So once you get 4 hits, and what happens is I'm going to step to the other side. There's some hit trackers. And once you get 4, right, then you get what's called a Torment Card, right? And you can revive, I believe it's 3. If you spend an action, you just instantly revive 3. But if you get hit 4 times, you cover up that first one. Everyone's different. Cavendish is 3. But if you get hit 4 times, then you get this fancy thing. I know, guys, I got to keep stepping side to side, which is called a Torment Card. So if Drogo gets hit up to 4 times, he gets a Torment Card. So to avoid that, he would want to revive. So that's that revive action. So what a Torment Card is one of these, and it usually, I'm not going to read through this one, it hampers you in some way. It slows you down, it hinders you. Sometimes it's a one-time do this and then get rid of the card. Sometimes it's there until you do something, right? You have to achieve something to get rid of the card, but it's to slow you down. Oh, erase. Torment cards stay with you until you're knocked all the way down. Unless it says once, one use, and then get rid of, it stays with your character until they get completely knocked down. So if you go through both these damages, so he gets 8 points of damage on him, he gets knocked down, right? And that'll lead into the next thing that he can do. All right. So where's the fancy card so we can stay on track here? So there is recover, and the next is revive. So like I said, if Drogo got hit for the full 8 points, he gets knocked out, right? His next turn, he can revive, and it costs your turn to revive. You just get to get back up. If you have any torment cards on you when you revive, you can get rid of the torment card, and you pop back up, and that was your activation, and your turn's done. All right. So a couple more things really quick. So when you get over here, we talked about move. We talked about opening doors, right? There's moving through windows. And then that last one, like I said, to give you guys good light and not too much glare, I have it dark in here. You can also give someone one of your items. You can trade items. The other thing you can use one of your activation points for is if you get to any of these areas on the map where it has A, B, and in the setup for the chapter it'll tell you. You can go there, and also in the setup of the chapter it'll tell you what you get. So in this specific scenario, when you go there, you get one gear card. Oh. So you would get one gear card, which gives you a pistol. It says discard once you use it, but for a range of 4, for a trigger or a ranged attack, you get +4. And you get one arsenal. And this is something you can carry around. All right. So you can also pick up things for one action point. In this game, when you go to like A or B, all characters can go there. You can go there multiple times. You just have to be next to the square to activate it. And that'll give you one gear, one arsenal. All right, so that kind of goes over, high overview of what you can do. Now, there's some things that I want to talk about really quick. Let's see if his card will actually do it. He doesn't have it on here. This just says you're starting ether. That's all that is. All right, so we might have to go back over to Cavendish. Cavendish? I'll have to look at it again. All right, so for a lot of the special abilities, like I had said, for the agents or for the Nemesis, you pay ether, right? So let's get Cavendish out because he already starts with some extra stuff. Sorry. So Cavendish, right? This is his role, right? He's a mechamancer. So he can do dynamo. This is a bonus thing he can do. It says when attacking with the Tesla gloves, which are already on him, it's a gear piece he already has, you may convert any crown into a hit and gain 1 ether. So what that means is his special ability is whenever he rolls a crown, remember I told you a crown can be either a hit, a successful hit, or ether. For him, it gets to be a successful hit and an ether. Now, the other thing you can do down here, and this one gets a little complicated, but we'll run through it really quick. You can spend X ether to roll X amount of either of these dice. And you get shotgun, which means you would hit one character, and if there was another character right next to him, you do the same damage to both. They both get to defend on their own, but you get to do the same amount of damage to both. So, for instance, if I would spend 2 ether, and I give it to the Nemesis, I would be able to roll 2 extra dice for ranged or for melee, and I get the shotgun, right? I forget what it's called, but it's a spread blast, spread damage, right? So that's how you would spend ether to do some of your special actions. Sometimes you have leadership cards that have ether, like this one, 1 ether, right? You pay 1 ether for the Samaritan, which I switched over here and I don't want to read through. So you spend ether to do some of those extra things. And that ether goes to the Nemesis. So we flipped Drogo over. We talked about the things that Drogo can do in the game. It's weird that he's in there with all the doors shut, so we'll put him back here. We ran over the things he can do. So once Drogo goes, he does his 2 activations. Then it goes over to the Nemesis. And the Nemesis flips their first card. Now, I did this on purpose because we're going to start talking about Nemesis and how the Nemesis works. So, let's jump into the Nemesis. And I need my reference card so I don't make this video too long for you guys. So, Nemesis has activations and there's things they can do. They can attack, they can use their special, they can move, and then they can open doors. So those are the things they can do, but we'll go over them really quick. So the Nemesis attacks based on who they've put up. So right now it's a chaos card. He cannot use Tobias, he cannot use Emerson yet, and he cannot use his minions, which in this one, it's a little out of picture for you guys, but for this one, it's the zombies, right? He can't use those yet because he chose to put down his chaos card first. And what that means is during his phase, he can use any of the cards, all the cards in his hand. And it'll tell you when you can use them. You have the activation, and then you have a phase order, right? So it'll tell you when you can use the cards, but you have these cards in your hand that you can play. So the chaos card lets you play cards in your hand, or it lets you play this stuff right here. So some of them will say stuff just like activate, right? So you can either play your special abilities here or this. So for him, he has activate 2 minions for ether. He has no ether on that card yet, or draw 1 chaos card. So let's just say, let's rewind so we have good examples. Let's say that, and we did talk about that, about Drogo doing his rush. I think it's called rush, where he gets to move and attack in the same. So he does that. He gives the Nemesis an ether, right? The Nemesis can choose to put the ether on one of his agents. The minions don't take ether. They have their things just happen no matter what. They don't need any ether. But the agents have special abilities that activate on their thing. So, but let's say he gets this ether and he decided to put it here, which allows him to draw 1 chaos card. And so now it's his turn. He played the chaos card. He gets to do anything he can here. He's going to spend an ether, which just means it goes to the pool. You get rid of the ether. And he gets to draw 1 extra chaos card, which gives him more things to do. So this one says anytime. This one says order phase. That means this is the order phase when you're putting the cards down. And this one means agent activation. So let me make sure I did that clear. I think I might have confused it a little bit. When the chaos card comes up, which is weird because these are called chaos cards, but when the chaos card comes up, you get to use one of your Nemesis powers. You can use all of them if you have enough ether, and you stack the ether on there. So, or how you use these is, and it tells you anytime, right? You have the anytime one, you have the order phase, and then you have the agent activation. So agent activation, these are your agents. These are gentlemen. There's some that say gentleman activation, right? So that was one of the things that you would do with the chaos card. Now let's go ahead and jump forward so we can finish out the Nemesis. Let's say Cavendish is gone, and then it's the Nemesis turn again. Then he flips his card. So right now, if you remember, I said Emerson or Tobias aren't on the board yet, so we don't have them out. But any of the minions can act, any or all of the minions. So you can move all the minions. And it's the same thing as the heroes. So in the minion phase, they have 2 activations. They can move, and they can't do a trigger, and they can attack, or they can move. They can move up to 2, right? So during that phase, during the move phase, you spend 1 point and you allow him to move. So let's say one of our minions wants to move 2. He wants to go 1, 2. Then he wants to attack that Bobby for his second activation. So he decides to attack, and we already talked about attack. It goes the same for the Nemesis and the minions and the agents as it does for the agents, except for, see, if you would have rolled those, it means nothing. He attacked for nothing. The only thing that's different is with minions, this can't count as ether. That's the only difference. You can't do attack and ether. You could only do attack. So the crown only means attack. That's the only difference really when it comes to the, well, that's a minion activating. So there's your move, there's your attack, and then you have, you can do specials. So what that means, let's say, we'll just grab Emerson because he's off to the side. Let me throw all of his ether in my hand. They have starting ether as well. So you could do his special attack, his special, which is a boost, which it's called headshot, but you spend 2 ether, so you would just get rid of 2 ether if Emerson was on the board. and he is, I believe, this guy, right? He can use 2 ether. Let's make him face old Drogo, because he wants to attack Drogo. And what that means is any, I'll get a little closer so you can see, any hit plus equals 2 hits. So if he were to roll his die, anytime he got this symbol, right, he got a hit plus, anytime he does that, it actually counts as 2 hits instead of 1. And that's what I was talking about, that special activation. So you can use the specials by spending 1 of your activation points. And so I think I've covered, I'm going to glance at it one more time. So we did attack, we did special, we did move, and then open doors is just the same. It takes 1 activation to open the door. So there you go. And then with the Nemesis, the only difference is you have these cards that tell you when you can play them. You can get more cards. The Nemesis has his board where he gets to do special things, and he controls his agents and his minions, right? And there are cards in here in the Chaos deck for the Nemesis that will let you bring more minions out. But you can only use the amount of minions that you have. So if there's no dead minions, you can't bring, let's say all these minions on the board, you can't go, I want to bring in 5 more minions. You can't. But if a minion's dead, or you have 3 minions dead, and you get the card that says, bring 3 minions back to life, you get to bring them back, but they come to one of the exits. In this part of the game, like I said, each chapter is different in what they can do and how they do it. Right? This one, the game plays, you got to get the damsel to one of the exits. That's how the gentlemen win. Nemesis wins by knocking the gentleman down, I think 3 times, if I remember this chapter right, or they knock down the damsel. It might be they just knock down the damsel. So that's the basic, like I said, high overview of how this game plays. You set up your order here, then you just go through the numbers, and it's hero goes, agent goes, Nemesis goes, agent goes, Nemesis goes, agent goes. If there's no Nemesis, then agent, agent, agent till it's all done. Same with if there's not a lot of agents, but a lot of Nemesis on the board, then you can do that. Now, let's see if I can find the card. You can also activate the bobbies. I just don't remember where I set the bobbies down. Of course, I set them down next because I knew I was going to walk through that. All right. So, if you decide to activate the allies, this has the bobby and it has, I think it's the hung librarian, or the hanged, I think is proper, the hanged librarian. You can activate all of your allies. Just like the minions, you can activate all the minions. For the agents, when you get the ally, you can activate all the allies. You can activate the bobbies, and you can activate the damsel, and you do get ally cards to explain how they work. So bobbies have 1 point of health, right? They can move 2. They attack at a range of 3. That means it's short ranged. And, well, they attack with 3. Short range means they can't shoot completely across. They have no close-up attack. The damsel, right, has a defense, or has a health of 3. She can move 3, she gets 4 to defend, she can attack in either way. Now, one quick thing I'll talk about right now, agents can move all at the same time, but line of sight. So line of sight goes clear across the map, right? If Drogo's out here, no, let's not do Drogo because he doesn't have a ranged. So Cavendish has a range. Let's say he's out here. He can hit any of these zombies because he can see them. And it's center square to center square. The only time he can't see them is if it's blocked, right? So here he can see that zombie. He cannot see that zombie, right? If he was back here and this zombie was right here, he cannot see from his center to that zombie's center. From here you can. You could see the line right there. So as far as you can go, line of sight, that is ranged attack. So there's a little extra for you, range attack. And like I said, you just go through, you go agent, Nemesis, until you're done. Now there's one more thing, and this really has to do with the campaign mode. Now I'm looking around to see where I even threw the board. Oh no, I don't know where I threw the board. I was going to talk to you guys about this. Oh, I know where it's at. Silly Steven. All right, so you go through all this. Once you've done all the cards, then it's cleanup. You pick up any cards you need to pick up. All right, you give them back to the person who needs them. You advance the round token. This only matters if there's certain things that go on in the round, right? So Nemesis gets his little ones back. The leader gets those ones back to look at. And you just go until either the Nemesis kills the damsel in this version or they get the damsel to escape. They help the damsel escape. Now, one last thing, and I'm going to run through this super quick, but this is called Intermission. I think I'm holding it upside down. All right, this is called Intermission. And so on here, what you have is artifacts, upgrades, what is this one? Gear. There'd be a stack of gear here, arsenal, and then you have locations. Now how this works is in between game, once the chapter is already done, you go to this board if you're playing through campaign style, and it's kind of cool because you get to keep your upgrades. At the end of the game, you keep whatever you've collected up, right? Arsenal, gear, all that stuff you keep with you. So here is just a chance to get more gear, more arsenal and stuff like that. But also, the Nemesis would get points. So this just tracks how many heroes were killed, but this tracks, is it chaos points? No, it's something points, but it's from the heroes where they go on here. And so you would set stacks of cards and single cards, and these are upgrades, and it's color-coded by what heroes. The heroes are all color-coded, and they're color-coded by their job, like Knight and Mechamancer and stuff like that. So you go here, here. The Nemesis gets points. So if you go here for upgrade, he gets 3, right? So, or she. And then they can use those points to upgrade themselves for that next chapter, just for that next chapter. And they can choose something from here to upgrade. And how I go about it is I just use markers and I put them on the things that have been upgraded. So I know as a Nemesis, I play Nemesis a lot. That's why I keep saying he. So I know as the Nemesis what I got. So this is intermission. After a game's done, before you go to the next game, you do intermission. All right, once one chapter is done, before you go to the next chapter, you do intermission, lay out cards, and the heroes can't try to starve the Nemesis by not giving them points. They have to go to places on the board. And these mark the places. So you can have 2 heroes here, and 2 heroes here, 2 heroes here, 2 heroes here, and right here there's 3 spaces. And there are locations which give you some extra stuff. So that's the intermission. There's one more thing that I want to talk about. Because the game, you can play it as a campaign and you can keep moving. I guess I could flip it over so you guys can look at the intermission side for a bit. So as the game moves, at the end of each chapter, you decide who wins and who loses. And based on that, you have these Moloch stones. Get the Moloch stone or the agents, right? And it just gives you special abilities and they can pass them out. If it's agents, they can pass them out to who they want. So that's one other extra thing. So this one, you can play as one-shots, but you can also play as campaign. And with the campaign, you do the intermission. You get to keep anything you've gathered up throughout the previous chapter, and it goes on like that. So that is a high overview. And I know it probably took a couple minutes there, but it's a high overview of how you play Rise of SMOG. I'm trying to look at World of SMOG. Sorry, World of SMOG, Rise of Moloch by CMON Games. It's a 1 versus many, 1 or 2 to 5 player game. Now, I would normally ask Resvon if she has anything that I missed, but she hasn't learned how to play this game yet because there's a lot going on. It will be better when she gets here to kind of work through it. So we're going to skip the asking Resvon if she has any questions and stuff. And plus her view isn't the greatest. She's kind of a level view of everything. She can't see everything I'm showing you guys. With that said, I'm Steven.
I'm Islam. Have a great time.
And we're Cardboard Coalition. See you later, everybody. Bye.